No. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak. As I was saying earlier, it's great to be back in Israel. I was last here 3 weeks ago. This is the 20th trip I've taken to Israel in the last 2 years, and every time I think it's more and more important to come. I want to be very direct and take on the question and issue of this panel straight on. There's been a large amount of talk in the United States, or about the United States, about America's commitment to the world. The question is, as sectarianism rises in the world, as instability rises around the Middle East, as there are questions about as Iran has advanced towards its nuclear weapon, runs destabilizing activities, questions about America's budget situation, question about the discussed pivot to Asia. I'll be really direct in the questions which I know people have asked. Is America prepared to keep its commitment given its budgetary constraints? Has America turned away from the Middle East to the Far East, and has it left the Middle East behind? And frankly, the most directly, is America ready to maintain its commitments to the Middle East, and particularly towards the State of Israel? I'm here to say that the unequivocal answer to those questions, to the question, is America committed, is yes. America remains firmly committed to this region, firmly committed to the State of Israel, firmly committed to our mutual security. And briefly to kick this off, I just wanted to talk through it in a few concrete ways from where I sit at the Department of Defense, how we think about America's critical role in engaging in the Middle East and with Israel in particular. And in particular, I wanted to talk about America's presence in the region, our planning, and third, our partnerships. For America's presence, the United States currently, despite all the talk of what has been reduced and what is there, maintains 35,000 military personnel in the Middle East. The United States has 10,000 forward deployed soldiers. In Bahrain, we have the 5th Fleet headquarters with over 50 ships. We have the F-22 fighter aircraft and some of the most advanced military technologies we have deliberately deployed in this region. We have some of the most advanced missile defensive technology. The amount of military equipment we have in the region does not make a policy, does not make a strategy. But the sheer amount when you add it up and have how much there says a significant amount about what America has been committed to deter and defend against conflict and threats in the region. The second piece of what the Department of Defense is doing is our planning. The United States Defense Department plans for a range of contingencies to make sure that we are prepared as things happen and to make sure we plan against the things that we frankly don't want to happen. Just 3 weeks ago, the United States participated with Israel with over 700 of our troops in Juniper Cobra, the largest military exercise of the year. 2 years before that, with Austere Challenge, the United States and Israel forces trained together and exercised together, the largest military history in U.S. and Israel history. The type of close cooperation we have between our two countries, I think, is really unprecedented. My boss, Secretary Hagel, has met with the Israeli Minister of Defense 6 times since they both have taken office. That is more times than he has met with any other defense minister in anywhere around the world. The level of dialogue and exchange and close consultation about some of the most sensitive and important issues of our government simply goes, I think, without rival. But the third thing that we focus on as we think about America's commitment to the region are our partnerships. And I think in a sense our partnerships are what's almost most important now as we think about how to deal directly with the types of issues we're dealing with. The partnerships are deep as they are broad. Just taking with Israel, for the United States, this year the United States has given $3.1 billion in foreign military financing. That is the most the United States has given in U.S. history. The U.S. has provided some of the most advanced technology to the State of Israel, and the reason is for a clear reason. The United States wants to make sure that it does whatever it can to preserve Israel's qualitative military edge. And that's the ironclad commitment to make sure that Israel has exactly what it takes to defend against any enemy or any combination of enemies that could threaten its security. Because this commitment is not just in Israel's interest, it's in America's interest as well. But with our partnerships, we do more than just strengthening Israel. We work together to try to build coalitions within the region to work on finding problems and finding solutions to the problems that we reach together. A month ago, Secretary Hagel chaired a meeting of the defense ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council. That was the first such meeting that had taken place with the U.S. Secretary of Defense since 2008. And the reason why he did this was simple. that as we look around the threats in the region, be it Iran or be it Syria or be it the threat of extremism, they work much better if we can work in partnership together. So I know the question is real. Is America here to stay? Is America committed? And we've been here enough to say the answer is yes. And we do so in the ways of having our traditional military assets here, which are significant, large, and have an enormous amount of firepower and force that can show our enemies that we mean business. But also we think creatively and think about what we need to do going forward. And that's with partnerships with Israel, that's with partnerships with the other allies and partners in the region, and that's with close partnerships with the Europeans. Because given the huge amount of problems that we face, we don't have the choice not to try, and we don't have the choice not to try to lead. And when you confront difficult problems, you're going to have difficult answers. You don't always succeed immediately. The path is not always clear and is not always being satisfying. But the fact of how much we put in, how much we work in partnership, and how committed we are to the security of the region, I think there's no commitment, and there's no question about us American what we're trying to do. What we want to do is continue to work together to try to look at solutions for these very difficult problems.